Hello everyone, I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to the Audio Analyst. Pardon me. Originally scheduled for July 30th through August 1st, 2021, then sensibly rescheduled to the fall of 2022, given the COVID-19 realities. As the end of this July drew nearer, I found myself welling with enthusiasm and anticipation for what would be the first show of its kind ever to be held in the Pacific Northwest. Even with the inevitable first-time hiccups, the 2022 inaugural Pacific Audio Fest was an unquestionable success. As it was of a much more manageable size, the disposition, feel, and vibe was much like that of the sorely missed, now defunct, Rocky Mountain Audio Fest. In fact, given the attendance of RMAF showrunner Marjorie Baumert and her near omnipresence, meeting, greeting, and helping everyone she spoke with, it was almost as if the Rocky Mountain Audio Fest baton was being officially passed to Lou and Gary, as if signaling the tacit endorsement of this new and highly promising show. And a special thanks to all of you viewers and readers who took the time to come up and say hello to me over the weekend. Now, today, I'm going to recap the Fab Five from the inaugural Pacific Audio Fest 2022, held July 28th through 31st in Seattle, Washington. This is my choice of the 5 most authentically musical systems presented at this inaugural and amazing show. And to both save time and to not confuse or misstate any equipment pricing in this 5-room wrap-up, all pricing is listed in today's description section. At number 5, room 2108 was sponsored by Maryland's Linear Tube Audio, and it was an absolute sonic treat. Now, the source here was the Kitsune Hi-Fi tuned edition of the very popular 2-chassis HoloAudio May DAC. The KTE modifications offer hand-picked DAC modules, better caps, enhanced shielding, audiophile fuses, etc. The Linear Tube Audio Z40 Plus integrated amplifier, which incorporates their ZOTL40 Plus reference power amplifier with up to 50 watts per channel, a Burning-designed preamplifier, and LTA's digital control system in a Fern and Roby designed case, provided a single component solution that looks as fabulous as it sounds. Loudspeakers were the Spatial Audio Lab X4 premium open baffle loudspeakers with the new machined aluminum Gaia 2 footers, a passive 2 1/2 way dynamic polar radiator, and everything was connected with ANTICABLES. This system presented with an unexpected degree of naturalness, punctuated by great spatial representation, both image specificity and staging, with vivid tonality, appreciable body and bloom, and a dynamic involvement that offered up a surprisingly superb sense of scaling. Now, essentially, this system committed no egregious sins of commission and was without question the most musically engaging room, showing a complete system, sources, electronics, cables, speakers, all in, for under $25,000. At number 4, I was more than pleasantly surprised when I stepped into room 1352, hosted by both the Canadian electronics company Infigo Audio and New York loudspeaker manufacturer Alta Audio, 2 companies that I have had little or no exposure to prior to this event. Here, the source was the Infigo Audio Fluvius streamer, playing files from locally attached solid-state hard drives, connected to the Infigo Audio Method 4 DAC, which directly drove a set of Infigo Audio Method 3 Class A monoblock amplifiers. Loudspeakers were the Alta Audio Atom speakers in a very attractive Lexus silver, and cabling included the Infigo Audio Sparkle Series USB interconnect, Signature Series RCA interconnects, and Signature Series by-wire loudspeaker cables. Now, the system immediately grabbed my attention with its very nice texture, rich, dense tonal color, and harmonic bloom, especially with the way it presented guitar, and its remarkably solid low-frequency extension. The nuanced capabilities revealed with microdynamic expressiveness were exemplary, as was the sense of effortlessness and extension of the uppermost octaves. Not only did I get more of the same when we switched to large-scale classical compositions, but that music also served to only intensify the overall sense this system conveyed of a very fluid dynamic expressiveness and its very good scaling abilities. The gear in this room simply disappeared, leaving only a very nicely portrayed sense of space, pace, and rhythm of the music, with very good detail and resolution. At number 3, I have to hand it to longtime audio pal Oz Turan of High End by Oz, now based in Connecticut, and his room partner, Greg Barone, of Virginia's United Home Audio, as their team-up in Cascade 5 on the second floor, an almost square room, some 30 by 29 by 8, provided to be exceptional. Now, this was an all-out assault by Oz that started with the sources. The featured source was Greg's United Home Audio Super Deck, a statement four-component open-reel playback machine consisting of the tape transport, an external tape head amplifier, an extreme outboard power supply, and a dedicated rack to hold and isolate it all. Guys, this thing is the bomb and represents the best possible playback Greg can manage at this point. Digital was served up by Denmark's Vitus Audio Signature Series SCD25 Mark II CD transport, feeding the Bulgarian-made Thrax Maximus Mark IIS DSP-controlled 32-bit 384 kHz audio DAC. Electronics included the statement Thrax Masterpiece Series 2-box Libra 300 line stage, the remarkable Thrax Masterpiece Series Spartacus 300 monoblocks using 300Bs, and the loudspeakers were the Borison 05 Silver Supreme editions, also of Denmark. Connectivity and conditioning were entirely the domain of California's Synergistic Research products and included the Galileo Power Cell SX, the Galileo SX Active Ground Block, and a full loom of their SRX cables. Everything rested on the sleek and sexy Hi-Fi Stay Mythology rack systems. Now, for those of you who may have been keeping track, this yields a total system price of just over $775,000, which, interestingly, is the same neighborhood as my current reference system. Regardless of all the other tracks I heard, I'll cop to admitting that I didn't mind hearing an old favorite of mine, the 1997 Bosio Levin Stevenson release, Blacklight Syndrome, on both Red Book CD and tape. No matter which source, analog or digital, if the recording was up to it, this system offered an image specificity that was consistently spot on, both in size and placement. This system had an amazing sense of focus and was able to reveal rich tone and very authentic textures. Its ability to render speed and scaling was exceptional as well. In particular, microdynamic expressions were remarkably nuanced and engaging, especially with its ability to portray instrumental decay and trails. The only frailty to reveal itself over my many visits to this room was a slight constriction of macro expression, which came across as just a tad stunted, or of a slight leanness of the very bottom octave. This is, without a question, the finest presentation I've heard from any room done by Oz in recent memory. The system was amazingly coherent, offered remarkable detail without etching, lifelike bloom without bloat, and beautiful tonal textures without syrupy distractions. At number 2, since I have first heard them, I've been almost routinely impressed with the amazing coherence and effortless dynamics delivered from Germany's a cappella loudspeakers. Even so, I still was not prepared for the exceptional presentation I found in Cascade 3, sponsored by Acapela's U.S. distributor, the Audio Federation, from the San Francisco Bay Area. Now, the source here was the Acapela Audio 1 music server, which, while it has its own internal DAC, was used to serve the astonishing AudioNote UK DAC 5 signature. This classic level 5 converter, with its valve-regulated power supply, uses transformer-coupled and balanced outputs and custom AudioNote silver wire throughout. Now, this was the first time I can recall hearing the Acapela integrated amplifier, a hybrid device employing an E182cc valve-based initial gain stage and a MOSFET output stage. It uses silver wire throughout its compact and strategically conceived layout, allowing for both short and very closely matched signal paths, with a staggering 2,000 watt per channel rating. And it drove the beautiful and siren-like Acapela Apollon loudspeakers. Now, Acapela Audio Arts has been building loudspeakers and audio electronics in Germany for 45 years and is credited with inventing the spherical horn. But standing 7 feet 7 inches tall, tipping the scales at some 700 pounds, each speaker uses 6 10-inch woofers, a roughly 30-inch hyperspherical mid-range horn covering from 350 hertz to 6,000 hertz, and their unique ion plasma tweeter. Cabling was a mix of Acapela and AudioNote UK, with Acapela's ceramic insulated silver conductor authentic line interconnects, loudspeaker, and power cables, and AudioNote's silver power cables, with no pricing provided. Now, everything rested on the Harmonix Resolution System's previous discontinued flagship MXR equipment stand and M3X2 isolation bases. Guys, I was immediately drawn into this system's utterly exquisite delicacy and nuance. This system presented with effortless dynamic scaling and complex, fluent microdynamic involvement, yet it offered an amazing sense of space and focus, especially given its horn pedigree. The system's ability to accurately recreate vibrant tone color with surprising fidelity of texture and to deftly articulate the individuality of instrumentation was almost unparalleled. About the only weakness I could pick on was a rather shallow stage depth. Listening to tracks from Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms proved an almost mystical experience. It was fabulous. And at number 1, the largest exhibit space on the property, Grand Ballroom 2, some 60 by 65 by 14 feet, was the domain of the now well-celebrated partnership of the Audio Company of Marietta, Georgia, the Valve Amplification Company of Sarasota, Florida, and Von Schweikert Audio of Riverside, California. It should come as no surprise that I was far from the only journalist or showgoer that I spoke with to suggest that the level of musical expressiveness and sheer lifelike presentation in this room was unequaled, delivering a simply unparalleled, masterful performance. You know, and there were more than a few of us that would argue that this was the most authentic, most lifelike, most impressive performance these partners have delivered at any show to date. I mean, the system was pretty much the tried and true system these cats routinely use to capture more and more Best of Show awards. A brief recap will reveal that the analog source was Canada's Kronos Pro LE turntable with its Black Beauty tone arm and SCPS-1 supercapacitor power supply, fitted with the Japanese manufactured and overachieving Hana Umami Red moving coil cartridge, and the phono stage was the superlative 2-box VAC statement phono preamplifier. Though the remarkable array of Tokyo-based esoteric digital gear was available, including the esoteric N01XD streamer renderer DAC, the esoteric K1 Grandioso CD SACD player, and the esoteric G01 clock, I was smitten by a relevant new addition. This was my first chance to really hear the new flagship Lampizator Horizon DAC from Poland. Now, the electronics lineup included the astonishing VAC statement line preamplifier and 4 of the sublimely magical VAC statement 452 IQ music block amps, which represent a sobering investment to use them to bi-amplify each of the newest von Schweikert Ultra series of loudspeakers, the Ultra 7s. Now, the room also employed a number of von Schweikert Audio Shockwave 12 subwoofers deployed critically to manage active room correction. Guys, first of all, this team is unquestionably among, if not the, most skilled room setup squad working the show circuit today. They actually had to manage this cavernous space, and by employing a special framework of supports to hold a mixture of varying density and textured curtains, they managed to shrink the room down by some 10 or 12 feet from both side walls and closer to 15 feet from the front wall. The result of this massive undertaking and taming effect was staggeringly successful. In fact, I spoke with more than a few other showgoers, writers, and manufacturers, all of whom have heard the amazing performance this team routinely accomplishes with their multi-million-dollar roadshow. And many of us felt the most impressive and authentic sonic tapestry this pairing has ever generated in any space. It was fabulous. Just fabulous. Now, I'm not going to go on and on about this room's exceptional performance yet again. Suffice it to say that I couldn't do it justice with words alone anyway. But feel free to take a look at any of my other recent show reports from 2017 on, when these partners introduced the Ultra flagship series of von Schweikert audio loudspeakers, and you will get a good sense of just how astonishing this room sounded. Let me simply note here that it clearly bested the ability of any other system on display at this event to foster the suspension of disbelief, to almost convince you that what you are hearing is not a recording, but a live performance. Now, rather, I want to focus briefly on the accomplishments of this new, gorgeous-looking, and sublimely seductive sounding flagship valve-based DAC from Lucas Ficus. Among the design highlights are things like the use of proprietary, firmware-driven conversion processors capable of supporting file formats up to 760 Hz PCM and DSD-512, using silver wiring and copper sheet true metal capacitors with no silicon used anywhere in the signal path. Now, given my investment in and love of vinyl, I don't see myself ever abandoning my world-class transcription system. But over the years, Lampizator DACs have routinely helped to transcend my objections to digital playback, allowing me to not just more readily tolerate digital music, but to actually more faithfully deliver its musical message. My first impression of Horizon is that it offers an even more inviting, non-digital sounding presentation than any other single box DAC in my current experience. Now, I'm honored to share with you here that the Horizon is expected to be in-house very soon now for its first official review. Stay tuned for that one. What a great show, Gary and Lou. Thanks for having us. Thank you all for taking the time to drop by today. Please click the subscribe and notify buttons if you haven't already. Be sure to share your comments or questions, and like and share links to your favorite episodes with your friends or on social media. Further information on supporting my channel may be found in today's description section or at my website, theaudioanalyst.com. Guys, please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.